Law number 15, the law of victory. The law of victory says that leaders find a way for the team to win. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about. We're going to find a way for the team to win. And I have a little paragraph underneath that I want to read that'll kind of launch us off into this law. Here's what it says. Victorious leaders find the alternative to winning unacceptable. So they find out what needs to be done to achieve victory, and then they go after it with everything at their disposal. Let's talk about it. I love sports, and I think probably the greatest basketball player to ever play the game, of course, is Michael Jordan. But for several years, I've admired his skills as a basketball player. But what I really admire about Michael Jordan, more than his skill level and more than his ability, what I really admire about him is his intensity and focus to win championships. I mean, he is truly, in the classic sense, what you call a winner. I mean, Michael has all the ability in the world, but I've known a lot of people who have great gifts and great abilities that didn't win championships. But his desire to bring the Chicago Bulls home to another world championship is just huge. And this year when they were playing Utah, and they were in the 6th game out at Utah, and the score was tied with 1 minute to play, and Chicago had the ball, I told my son Joel, who was watching the game with me, I said, Joel Porter, I said, watch this. I said, I'll guarantee you, there's only 1 minute away, and if they win today, they win the championship. I said, I promise you, Michael can smell this. And I, they showed the picture of him in the huddle, and you knew what he was telling him. He was saying, get me the ball, get me the ball, get me the ball. And sure enough, in that last minute, what did he do? He scored 6 points, and they won the championship. He literally willed it to happen. Did he have ability? Absolutely. But that isn't what really causes me to greatly admire him. What causes me to greatly admire him is his desire and his intensity to win. Larry Bird was like that when he played basketball. I loved to watch Larry Bird. And one time there was only about 3 seconds left, and Boston Celtics had the ball, and so they had their huddle. And when they came to the huddle, Larry Bird looked at the rest of those players and said, look, get me the ball and get out of the way. In other words, Larry Bird says, let me have that ball and then just get out of my way. And the coach, Casey Jones, happened to be the coach at that time. The coach said, no, wait a minute. He said, Larry, he said, you don't tell the players what to do. He said, I'm the coach. So Casey Jones looked at the players and said, now listen to me. Get Larry the ball and get out of the way. Now, what do these guys have in common? What they have in common is they're leaders, and leaders have a passion for victory. It's the law of victory. I promise you, you show me a great leader, and I will show you someone who really wants to win. And if you'll study leadership like I love to study leadership, I read the lives of leaders, and I just love the subject. If you study the great leaders, one of the things you'll find is, in almost any country, the leaders that are the most respected and the most esteemed are the leaders that were in leadership positions during very difficult times in their country, and they brought their country to victory. Classic example, United States, the most beloved president, I think, of all the presidents, Abraham Lincoln, who took a country divided and with his leadership made sure that he could bring it back together. And out of that crisis, really exhibited incredible leadership. If you think of England, greatest prime minister they ever had, Winston Churchill, who during the war said, we are never, never, never going to give up. I mean, who just instilled courage into the heart of his people. Why? Because Winston Churchill was not going to take defeat. In fact, I have in your, I'm not reading all of the stuff in your notes, but there's that one section where I love this one part of his speech of Winston Churchill. And he said, what is our aim? He said, I answer in one word, victory. Victory at all costs. Victory in spite of terror, victory however long and hard the road may be, for without victory there is no survival. What's Winston saying? Winston's saying, I'm a leader, and I'm going to make sure that my team wins. And let me just stop here for a moment. Don't you love to follow a leader that's going to bring you to victory? In fact, I want to say something. If you're trying to recruit people on your team, the greatest way to recruit people on your team is to start winning some. Because people want to be on a winning team. I mean, people aren't clamoring saying, man, the guy's lost. He's always in the bottom of this division. I'd love to be on his team. It's more than the guy has lost. You've lost your mind. We want to be on a team that's going to bring us to victory. When I was a kid growing up, I always played ball with kids that are older than me. My brother, who's 2 years and 3 months older than himself, was a grade ahead, so he played with kids about a year older than him, and so I played with kids about 3 years older than me, and I was the smallest kid, and I loved to play ball, any kind of ball, and my brother was a very good ball player, and I loved it because I was the youngest kid. I was always the last kid chosen, and because I was always hanging around with the older kids, and I loved it when my brother would choose me, and man, when he'd choose me, I thought, oh, good. You know why? Because I knew that I had a great chance of winning. Now, I just want to say, if you know you have a great chance of winning, you'll put more energy into it. You'll enjoy it more. Isn't that true, huh? If you know you're going to lose, you go, well, I don't know if I really want to make that commitment. But boy, when you know you're going to win. In fact, Joe Namath said it right. He said, when you win, nothing hurts. I can turn that around. When you lose, everything hurts. Oh, you're so good, aren't you? Huh? You're just so good. I just got a feeling you can take over anytime. You know what I mean? Well, I think I'll just go take a break and somebody come up here and have at it these notes. Wouldn't that be fun? Huh? Here comes Marty. He's already leaning forward. He's ready to go. That's a real leader. A little bit stupid, but there's a leader right there. No, Marty, you're my buddy. What does the law of victory look like? What does the law of victory look like? Because I have watched this characteristic in leaders, the characteristic, the ability to bring the team to victory, one day I decided I was going to try to spell this out. What does this law look like for a leader to possess? And I think I've done a decent job. Let me see if I can do this well for you. I think the leader that is going to bring his or her team to the law of victory, here's what they feel, here's what they think. Leadership is responsible. That's where it always starts. They say, okay, if I'm the leader, I'm responsible. Too many leaders, they want the credit for leadership, but they don't want the responsibility of leadership. It goes back to what I say many times. They want the perks, but don't want to pay the price. Okay? Leaders who bring their team to victory, they say, I'm responsible. I'm responsible. Number two, losing is unacceptable. You talk to a leader, and they don't even consider losing. I mean, you say, well, you can't do it that way. Then they say, well, then let's find another way to do it. I mean, you watch a leader, they will not accept no. They will not accept it can't be done. They will not accept the fact that, well, others haven't made it, so neither can we. They will not accept. That is totally unacceptable. When you tell them that, instead of that discouraging a leader, that's like putting kerosene on fire. When somebody tells me that, well, we can't help ourselves, it can't be done, they don't know what that does to me on the inside. I mean, it's like saying sick 'em to a beagle. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I start frothing at the mouth. I can't handle that. I don't accept it. A story that I love to tell is when I went to Skyline, I hired a wonderful assistant who was with me for 11 years, Barbara Brummingen. A wonderful assistant. Very committed to the mission that I had, and just a wonderful, wonderful friend. But in the first few months, I was training Barbara, and one day I asked Barbara to get me a phone number for somebody. I don't remember who it was. And about 10 minutes later, she came back in. She said, Pastor, she said, I can't get that phone number. I can't find it. So I said, Barbara, I said, give me the person's name. I said, sit down here beside me. And I said, now, we're going to sit here till I get that phone number. Because, Barbara, it is unacceptable for me for you to say something can't be done. So I said, you just sit here, and I'm going to show you how to get a phone number. Well, I started punching numbers. It took me 45 minutes. I mean, I was calling second cousins in Arkansas trying to find this person. But finally, I got the number. And when I got the number, I turned around at Barbara. I wrote the number out on a piece of paper, and I handed it to her. And I said, that's what I expect you to do anytime I ask for a phone number, anytime I ask for anything. Never say never to me again. In the name of Jesus. If you had talked to Barbara today, she would tell you that that was the day that I took her to a whole new level. She said, Pastor, I'm here to tell you, from that point on, when you gave me assignment, come hell or high water, the assignment was to be done. What is that? What kind of character? It's the characteristic of a leader who says, losing is not acceptable. The answer no is not something that's in my vocabulary. This is where we need to go, and we're going to find a way to. And if we can't find it the way we're doing it now, guess what? We'll stop down and we'll do it another way, and we'll keep working. Promise you, there is a time where I will bring us home. We're going to win. And the question is not are we going to win. The question is how long it's going to take us to win. But we're going to win. Losing is unacceptable. Passion is unquenchable. You show me somebody that understands the law of victory, and they are so passionate. They're so passionate about what they're doing that, again, you can't slow them down. You can't cool them off. That's why when I find people in leadership positions and they say, well, you know, I don't know, it doesn't seem to be working, I think I'll just quit. I'm telling you, if I was your overseer, I'd look at you and say, well, I think that's a good idea, quit. In fact, I second that motion. In fact, you're a quitter already, so quit. I wouldn't beg people to stay. I don't beg anybody to stay in the jobs they're with. In the Enjoy group, if I got somebody who wants to go somewhere else, God bless you. Lord be with you till we meet again. Because I'm here to tell you right now, you show me a person that's on a mission and you can't put the fire out. You can't put the fire out. And I want to find those kind of leaders. That's what kind of leader. I don't want to find the leader you got to sit there every day and keep matches with you. Kind of, all right. Well, it's the fire lit. Well, it's not. Okay, here you are. Here, let's get you started here. Hey, got a blowtorch here. Can we get him going here? You know, I'd like to blowtorch you all right. You show me a person that whines all the way and whimpers around and, well, I don't know if I've got the time. I don't know if I've got the energy. I'm here to tell you, I don't want him on my team. Don't want him on my team. Read my lips. Don't want you on the team. You're going to drag all the rest of us down, all that whining you do. My goal in life isn't to hit the ball and drag you. If you're going to be that way, my goal is to hit you, but that's another story. I'm having fun with you, but I'm talking about you show me a person with a law of victory, and they got a passion. You don't need to build the fire. The fire's already there. Let me show you something else that's characteristic of people who really understand the law of victory. Creativity is essential. In other words, they think out of the box. And when one thing doesn't work, they say, it's okay, we'll figure, there's another way. They don't give it up. They don't give it up and say, well, I've tried it and it didn't work. Well, did you try this? Did you try that? My assistant, Linda Eggers, is here, and she knows. If she's going to give me an answer that I don't want to hear, she had better have exhausted every human resource possible. And she knows that. She knows that. So she doesn't give me answers I don't want to hear. Isn't that true, Linda? Because she understands, because she says something that I don't particularly like. I'll say, Linda, have you thought about this? Have you asked about that? Did you try that? Did you call that person? Did you work out that? Well, yeah. So when she really has an answer she knows I'm not going to really care for, she'll say, now, John, she's going to tell you something. I tried 17 different things here. Of course, then you know what she'll know. I'll say, what were they? It was 17. And when we're done 17, I'll say, well, you know what? Number 18 will work. Again, that's it. Creativity, the ability to think outside of the box. Quitting is unthinkable. It's just not even in the person's vocabulary. In fact, when I was young in my ministry, I literally did this. I went into my dictionary to the word quit, and I took scissors and I cut it out. I said, the word quit is not even in my dictionary. If you go back to my old dictionary, I promise you, the word quit is cut. I said, it's not even in my dictionary. I don't even believe in it, don't even buy it, don't want to be around anybody that's doing it. Commitment is unquestionable. You see a person that's going to win, and there's one thing you never question is their commitment. You know what? You never have to ask a person who understands the law of victory. You never have to go up and say, now let me ask you, how committed are you to this project? You know how committed they are. They tell you how committed they are. In fact, they look at you and ask you how committed you are. There's a commitment that they're going to get it done, and finally, victory is inevitable. You better believe it. Now, if you'll take that piece that I've just given you, and if you'll put that whole piece together, I promise you, if you'll put this whole piece together, I promise you, you got the picture of a person that has the law of victory. Leadership is responsible. Losing is unacceptable. Passion is unquenchable. Creativity is essential. Quitting is unthinkable. Commitment is unquestionable. And victory is inevitable. Now, that's the way the law of victory has. Now, here's what I want to say about teaching this law now. Your people desperately need to get victory under their belt. The number one problem in the church across America is what I call low morale. And the reason there's low morale is because nobody's winning. Like I said, when you win, nothing hurts. And so what happens is church after church, there's an apathy, there's a sense of nothing getting accomplished. And as a leader, you've got to help your people get some wins under their belt. Now, let me take you back to a story of where I learned that law. As you can tell, all these laws I'm teaching you are laws that I have learned throughout my life. I mean, some of them are 25 years old. Some of them I've learned in the last couple of years. But these are laws that I know really work in the area of leadership. And let me tell you where the law of victory became something that really grabbed hold of me. Go back to Hillham, First Church. Get the picture. Here I am, I'm a kid, and I've got a great zeal, and I'm in a very limited area. I mean, 11 houses, 2 garages, 1 country store, Hillham, we know all about that, okay. But God's helping us. And in this church, it's an old building. I mean, it's over 100 years old. In this church that only seats 85 people, we began growing until we have 85 people, and then we get to 100 people and 120 people. And put out chairs and do everything we can, but after a while, we have more people than we have places to sit. And in fact, my church board, they said, "What are we going to do?" Because we're out of room. Now I didn't know. See, again, you got to understand. I'm just a kid. I don't know anything about church. I don't know anything about leadership. So I don't know that you can go to 2 services back then. Okay? See, when you listen to me, I ought to be giving a lot of you great hope. By now, you should have listened to me enough to say, that man really was not a very smart man. He's kind of a stupid boy. And look how God blessed him. See, I didn't know you could go to 2 services. I mean, I never entered my mind. If somebody would have told me I could have gone to 2 services, I would have looked at him and said, do you think God can show up both times? So all I knew was that you had to keep pouring him into 1 services, and we didn't have any more room. And the board said, what are we going to do? We don't have any more seats. And I said, well, the only thing I can think of is since we're the board members, that we have to give up our seats. They looked at me and said, what do you mean? I said, well, we can come to church, but we can't sit down. For over a year, I never sat down when I went to church. I stood up. I gave up my seat. They gave up their seat. Are you getting the picture? Okay. And so I can remember it's a hot summer Sunday. And we have probably, 130 to 135 in church. And I'm excited. I'm excited because every Sunday people are coming to Christ and this thing is growing. And I'm standing up in front of the people and I said, the first Sunday of October, we're going to have 300 people in this church. Now, get the picture. It seats 85. And as soon as I said we're going to have 300 people in this church, Mike Poe, one of the trustees, stood up. He was about 4 rows back on the left. Stood up and he said, Pastor, he said, we can't do that. Now, Mike was a good guy. He was not a negative person. I said, what do you mean, Mike? We can't do that. He said, well, Pastor, he said, that's just beyond our ability. We're a small church. This is a rural area. We don't have a lot of people. He said, 300 is just too big of a number. He said, it's beyond us. We can't do that. Well, I said, will you help us? Will you help us, Mike? He said, well, yeah. He said, I'll be glad to help. He said, my wife, Betty, well, she'll take her card. She'll fill it up. I'll fill my card. But he said, 300 is just too big of a number. Well, we worked hard. We really worked hard. You got to get the picture now. We're in this little valley in Orange County and Du Bois County down in southern Indiana. We're in this little valley, and just not a lot of people. And so we have to ask everybody to come to church. I mean, in fact, everybody was asked at least 11 times. I mean, after a while, going up to October, people just say, I've already been asked. Thank you very much. After a while, half the people in the valley were just raising their hand. Take me. Just take me. Just take me. And so we worked hard, and finally the Sunday came. I'll never forget it. We were so excited. The church was full. Everybody was standing around. The windows were open, and it was a beautiful fall day, so everybody was standing around the outside. And then we had rented a building right beside the church where we had put a system in, and a sound system, and we had a whole bunch of people over there. So, we just had people everywhere, and I knew we had a great number. And Benny got up. Remember Benny? Okay? Benny got up, and he said, I want to give the account for the day. He said, we had 299. Now I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, 300 is our goal. And then I'm thinking, why am I the only pastor in America that has honest ushers? We know those guys lie all the time. As pastors, we've trained them to do that. So here we got 299, and so I stood right up. Now get this picture. I'm 23 years old. And I realized this is unacceptable. Remember, this is the law of victory. I'm talking about the law of victory. I just stood in front of people and I said, folks, what's our goal? They said 300. Well, I said, we don't have 300. And I said, I'm not preaching until we have 300. So I said, Benny, you get back up. You lead these folks in some songs. I said, I'm going to walk up out of this church. I'm going to go find somebody. When I find the 300th person, I'll come back and we'll have 300. That's what our goal is. And then we'll have church. Those old farmers, I walked down that aisle. I started walking back there. Those farmers were cheering and clapping and patting me on the back and said, amen, preacher, amen. Go get them. This is the way we like. Man, by the time I got to that back door, I was so pumped. I was so pumped. And then I closed the door, and I'm out in the parking lot all by myself. And then I'm saying, now what am I going to do? And I looked across the street at the filling station, and there was Sandy Burton, who owned all the land in the valley. He was a rich guy. He didn't, he didn't look rich, but he had all the land. He had all the buildings. Oh, he was a godless man. Blaspheme. His mother died with a broken heart praying for him because he never went to church, never got saved. Never. He wouldn't even sell us land when we had all this. He owned all the land around us. He wouldn't sell us any of this land. But he liked me, and I liked him, and I'd go see Sandy, and I had a good relationship with him. Never darkened the door. Never. He's probably about 65. Never been to church in his life. And so across the road is Sandy, and beside him is Glenn Harris, who is Benny's brother, and kind of the town drunk. And I went across the road. And of course, as soon as they saw me coming, they saw all the cars over there, and they saw the crowd, and they looked at me and said, "Hey, preacher," he said, "how's it going over there? Did you get your 300?" And I looked at him and I said, "Not yet." I said, "In fact, we have 299. I need one more." So I got a question to ask you guys. Which one of the two of you would like to be the hero for the whole valley today? Because you see, our goal is 300, and the one that walks across the street and goes to church with me, you'll be the one that made it happen. And when people are having chicken dinner in the valley this week, they'll be saying, "Hey, do you remember? He was the one that put us over." I said, which one of you wants to be the hero for the whole valley? By the way, I want to just stop here for a moment. A lot of your results are how you ask the questions. And when I said, "Who wants to be the hero?" they looked at each other, and much to my surprise, they both said, "Well, we both want to be the hero." And old Sandy Burton went over to the filling station, and where it said open, he turned it over, it said closed. And Sandy got on one side, and Glenn got on the other side, and walked across the street. When I opened that door, I mean, those farmers, they were singing, but they were watching that door. When they saw me walk in with two guys, they threw the songbooks in the air. They clapped. They cheered. I walked right down the middle aisle. I went down to the front row, moved a couple of my members off, set them right down there on the front. I got up to preach that morning. And I'll tell you, when I got done preaching, Sandy Burton came up to me, shook my hand, and said, "Boy, preacher," he said, "this wasn't bad at all." And Mike Poe, remember the Mike Poe, the trustee who said it couldn't be done? When he hugged me at the door that day, he wouldn't let go. He just wept like a baby and held on to me. He just held on to me and said, "Oh, preacher, preacher." He said, "Listen to me." He said, "I'll never doubt God again." That's the law of victory. By the way, Sandy liked church. And the next Sunday, Sandy came to church with his wife and his daughter and his son-in-law and his grandson. Sat right on the front row. I think he thought that was his pew. And when I preached the message, a few weeks later, his whole family came forward and they received Christ as Savior. It's the law of victory. You see, let me just stop here long enough to say, your church and your people, they desperately need to get victory under their belt. Does this make sense? They desperately need to have a win. And what they need is a leader that will lead them in the law of victory, that will take them to the top.